Nancy, my wife, and myself, Charles, we met in college in the 70s. Eventually we settled down and got married, had some kids. She went on and worked as a teacher for a number of years.
Myra and I met in 1972. Her brother and I went to school together, high school together, and came over to his house one time, met her. Didn't know I was going to marry her 2 years later, and lived the rest of my life with her. This year will be our 50th wedding anniversary, Myra and I.
Kathy and I were married 32 years. That was second marriage for both of us. She had no children from a prior marriage. I have one child, 2 grandkids.
My son started to notice a few things that I wasn't aware of. I just figured it was part of aging. One day my wife had been driving back and forth to visit the grandson, and she got lost. And she'd been making that trip a number of times, pretty much weekly. And all of a sudden she couldn't find her way.
Myra really first noticed that she was having some memory issues. She decided to go see a neurologist. She got tested, and she tested for mild cognitive impairment. And it's just really the last maybe year, I think she's probably gone into mid-stage dementia.
Kathy and I, we've been involved with Alzheimer's for a long time. Kathy was on the board probably 5 or 6 years before she started showing signs of dementia. Things just gradually got worse to the point that she couldn't control anything, and it didn't dawn on her. It didn't really sink in. It never did, which is a blessing, really, because you'd get depressed if you knew that's what you had. I got depressed, knowing what she had. Earlier, when I saw this as a possibility, I said, what do you want to do if you became disabled and couldn't function, physically or mentally? And I said, if I become disabled, I know I'd like to stay at the house, sit on the veranda and have a French nurse take care of me when my buddies go by in the golf cart, She said, well, I want to stay home too. I'd want to stay home. So with that in mind, that was my goal, to keep Kathy at home as long as I could. And as it turned out, I kept her at home until she died, and held her hand as she breathed her last, along with my daughter. And so we fulfilled our mission from that standpoint. Kathy was active. She was an active person. She was a nutritionist, and she ate right, and she took care of herself, and she was in good shape. So why did she get frontal temporal dementia,
You can't imagine being with someone for 4 or 5 years where they're never happy. Never. They don't give you a rule book or a playbook to go by. So you're going every day something new. There is no break. Every day I'm there, and every day I get to watch something new happening that I have no control over. And I'm not a control freak, but I like to feel like there's some control going on in my life, and there was none. It was just flying apart. So before I felt like I could do anything to really start helping her, I needed to find help for me. I was starting to lose me. I'm losing her, but I'm losing me too. And I needed to start finding some kind of way to regain some control over my life so that I could help her, because I couldn't help her in the present situation.
It's very stressful, especially when they get to the mid-stage where she is now. Sometimes they're difficult. Sometimes they give you a hard time. Sometimes they may be hurtful to you, and you have to be rested enough to where you don't take it personally. You understand what she's going through. It's not her fault. She's not trying to be difficult. If you're completely frazzled and worn out and just burn out, you're just not going to be able to take care of your spouse in a situation like that.
I'm desperate. I've got to find something, anything. And one day a lady came walking in at our encounter group, and she was talking about Charlie's place. And she was this cheery, wonderful lady that just came in and gave this great story. And I thought, here we go, another one of these people that's, and I just put it out of the back of my mind. And she came in another time and she put out some pamphlets. So I said, Nancy, we're gonna go try Charlie's place. And she looked at it. She couldn't read it, but she looked at it and she said, I don't wanna go. I said, well, I'm gonna go with you, and if you don't like it, we'll leave immediately. We won't stay there any longer than it takes if you say no. And I called the center and let them know I was coming to do a tour. And someone met us at the door, and of course Nancy didn't want to get out. I said, well, I'm getting out if you're not. She just sat in the car and was being difficult. And then she finally got out. She came in and she walked around a little while and listened to some talking that was going on. And she turned around and she looked at me and said, you can go home. I said, what? She said, you can go home. I'm gonna stay. And she had a great day that day. The next day she wanted to know why she couldn't go the next day. And Charlie's Place allowed us to come Monday to Thursday.
You know, the first time I dropped her off, I was nervous. It was like you were dropping your kid off to kindergarten for the first time, and I didn't know how it was gonna go. And she, every time she comes back and she says how nice everybody is and how she enjoys it, and she looks forward to going. Whenever I tell her in the morning, you're going to Charlie's Place today, she says, oh good, the people are nice there. These people are not just sitters, they're trained to be able to care and interact with people with dementia.
She's always ready to come. You can even ask them. We're the first one here every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. First, because she can't wait. They have socials maybe once every other month for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, for Easter, and they dance and they do things, and I'll come in here and I'm like, she's dancing, she's happy, she's running around, she just can't sit down. She's visiting with her friends, and I want you to meet this person, I want you to meet, and you know, she's happy.
She's tired when she comes home. it wears her out. But I mean, it's good, you know. I mean, she's a nice worn out, you know, because she's been having to think and interact. It's exercising her brain, I think. And so when she comes home, she's ready to lay down, and which is fine. She takes a little nap, and I have more time to do the stuff that I need to do, you know.
You know, we managed through the process. It was not fun, but we managed, and had a lot of support from Alzheimer's and Barbara and Debbie and everybody here.
We're very lucky. I mean, there's not a Charlie's Place in many towns around. I've checked because I've thought about maybe moving, and I've looked at different locations. There's just not many of these places around. We are so fortunate to have a place like this where you can bring your loved one and you know they're taken care of and they're getting the best care possible. It's a blessing, you know, that we have this place here.
This is a well-run organization, I'll say that. And I've been on a lot of boards, and this is about as good as it gets, really.
I'm almost certain that had we not found Charlie's, today she wouldn't be talking or doing anything. Charlie's Place is a godsend. It's a social place that they can come and they don't feel isolated anymore. They don't feel like my son's carrying me around or my husband's doing this for me. They become somewhat independent. They get to go be by themselves, not ushered around and spoken for. They actually go in and interact on their own, at their own speed. It gives them some, I don't know if they have the feelings of autonomy, but it gives them the opportunity to be a person again.